welcome back to the Licensing Subcommittee, Monday the 28th of April 2025. In the matter of Licensing Act 2003, application for variation of a premises licence, New Quickie Mart, 25 Albert Road, Southsea. All parties shall receive written confirmation of the decisions and reasons. Decision. The subcommittee has considered very carefully the application for variation of a premises licence at New Quickie Mart. It gave due regard to the Licensing Act 2003, the licensing objectives, statutory guidance and the adopted statement of licensing policy. The subcommittee considered the relevant representations, both written and given at the hearing by all parties. Human rights legislation and the public sector equality duty have been borne in mind whilst making the decision. The subcommittee noted that the application sought an extension in hours for the sale of alcohol. There had been representations from the police and a ward councillor. Those objecting raised concerns in relation to the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety and public nuisance. The issues of concern relating to crime and disorder arise from the concentration of late-night premises in the area, which cause a higher number of instances of assault, public disorder and sexual assault, with alcohol said to be a contributing factor. Concerns were expressed about the proximity of a 24-hour toilets and the late closing premises nearby, as well as alleged potential drug dealing and noise which may increase if the application is granted. It was noted that the applicant had initially offered steps to mitigate the impact, including use of a service hatch and a SIA door staff, but police objection remained. At the hearing, it was clarified that the application had been amended to reduce the hours for the sale of alcohol until midnight on Friday and Saturday nights, and for the premises to remain open until 2 a.m. on those days. After having heard all of the above evidence, the subcommittee determined to grant the application subject to the outlined amendment, the operating schedule and the following additional premises licence conditions. The premises licence holder shall ensure that signage is prominently displayed at the premises, both within and visible outside the premises, indicating that the alcohol sales shall cease at midnight on Friday and Saturday evenings and at 2200 hours Monday to Thursday and 22:30 hours on a Sunday. Lockable roller shutter blinds or other such secure measures shall be in place and utilised to ensure customers cannot view or access alcohol after the permitted hours for the sale of alcohol cease. Reasons. The subcommittee listened very carefully to the police concerns and those raised on behalf of residents, and has had to balance those against the interests of the business. In doing so, it had to determine the extent of the impact that the proposed variation might have upon the licensing objectives of the prevention of crime and disorder, public nuisance and the promotion of public safety. Weight was attached to the police position as the lead in their field in accordance with the statutory guidance. The police indicated that the premises is located in a busy nighttime economy area at the busier end of Albert Road and where there is a high concentration of licensed premises. Statistics showed that the locality is the second highest area for nighttime crime between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. in the city. It was stressed that further availability of cheaper alcohol would necessarily lead to an increase in crime and would aggravate street drinking, with a likely flashpoint occurring. 2 specific incidents of crime related to street drinking were detailed in response to questions during the hearing. The ward councillor indicated that the premises is located in a residential area as flats are located above shop premises and family homes are nearby. Previous hearings had led to reduced hours of other premises in the locality. Nuisance would likely increase if alcohol provision was increased at the proposed times. For the premises, it was stressed that no credible evidence had been relied upon by the police, as the evidence did not correlate with or distinguish street drinking in particular. Police opinion ought not to be given weight, but rather credible evidence. The power of a review existed and should give considerable reassurance. The guidance is clear that the starting point is to grant the licence unless there is good reason to restrict the licence based upon evidence, and the guidance further makes plain that shops and off-licence generally should be granted licences for the hours that the premises are open, again unless there is a good reason not to. The reduced hours following the latest amendment meant that the premises would stop selling alcohol before the majority of premises in the locality close, and that longer hours for the provision of soft drinks and food would have a positive effect upon the existing issues, which were not disputed and were acknowledged by the reduction in hours. The premises licence holder has traded in excess of 20 years, and no criticism is made of his management or the premises in question. The subcommittee has had to consider whether the proposed variation is likely to undermine the licensing objectives, and the argument that, in essence, there is a cumulative impact from the number of premises in this location. Police evidence was clear that the area has become far busier, particularly in relation to footfall in the last 18 months. The subcommittee accepted advice in private session that the premises is not located in an identified cumulative impact area, and accordingly there is no reverse burden of proof. This does not prevent such arguments from being raised or prevent the refusal of licences on that basis. The test, however, that the subcommittee had to apply was a question of whether the proposed variation was likely, on the balance of probabilities, i.e. more likely than not, to lead to an increase in the issues raised by those making representations. It's accepted by all parties that the area is a busy nighttime economy area and that it suffers a disproportionate amount of crime and disorder and nuisance as a result of the number of licensed premises. It was disputed, however, that the reported crime relied upon related to alcohol provided by off-licensed premises. The subcommittee was clear that had the application proceeded unamended, it would have been refused. After very carefully consideration, it was accepted that the additional hour of alcohol sales with the outlined steps imposed via conditions would not necessarily alter the dynamics of the area. The premises licence should be strongly warned, however, that the licence can be reviewed and instances of concern resulting from the grant of additional hours may mean the licence is brought back for consideration at review. There is a right of appeal for all parties to the Magistrate Court, and formal notification of this decision will be set out in full. Thank you.